My wife got a big promotion and suddenly decided I wasn't good enough. She called me a poor man and filed for divorce, saying she deserved better. So I let her chase better, and karma did the rest. Hello, Reddit I plus here. I never thought I'd be the one typing something like this. I'm not usually the share my feelings online type, but I don't really have anyone who'd understand what I'm going through. I'm 36M, and my wife, Lydia, 33F, recently got promoted to a regional manager role at a luxury real estate firm. We've been together for almost 10 years, married for 6. We met in college. She was this determined, funny girl studying business, and I was majoring in environmental science. I wasn't rich, but I was content. I loved hiking, teaching kids about nature, and painting in my spare time. Back then, she used to tell me, "You're the calm I never knew I needed." We built our life slowly. A small apartment, shared grocery lists, lazy Sundays with pancakes. We didn't have much, but we had peace. Then came the promotion. At first, I was thrilled. She'd worked hard for it, late nights, tight deadlines. She deserved every bit of that success. I even surprised her with a homemade dinner and a cheap bottle of champagne when she told me. But I remember the look on her face that night, a flicker of disappointment when she saw the setting, almost like she expected something more extravagant. That was the first sign. A month after her promotion, she started upgrading everything. Her wardrobe, our furniture, her phone, her friends. She wanted reservations at places that made me check my bank app before agreeing. And when I hesitated, she'd sigh and say things like, "You always think too small, Ben," or, "You're okay being ordinary, aren't you?" The thing is, I wasn't lazy. I just didn't measure happiness in luxury brands or Michelin stars, but I could feel her slipping away. I asked Lydia if she was happy. We were sitting at the dining table. She was on her phone scrolling through something. "Luxury handbags, I think." I said, "Are we okay?" She looked up, blinked twice, and said, "We're fine. You just don't try anymore." I asked her what that meant. She leaned back in her chair and said, "I'm moving forward, Ben. You're stuck. I can't keep pretending this is enough." I told her I wasn't pretending. I liked our life. I loved teaching, loved coming home to her. I thought that was enough. She shook her head, almost like she pitied me. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Love doesn't pay for the life I want." That night, she slept in the guest room. The next morning, she packed a bag and said she'd be staying at her friend's place for a while. She didn't come back. I tried reaching out, texted, called, even emailed, because apparently her phone was too busy to answer mine. Nothing. Then I saw a photo on social media. Lydia at a company dinner, sitting next to a man with his arm around her chair. His name was Aaron, one of her co-workers. I didn't need an explanation. The look on her face said everything. I didn't confront her. I just went silent. I deleted the photo, blocked her page, and sat in the dark of our living room that night, wondering how love turns into contempt so quietly. I thought about all the times I waited up for her, cooked her favorite pasta, or wrote her notes for her lunchbox back when we couldn't afford takeout. Now, I was the embarrassment she couldn't stand to be around. 3 months later, she served me divorce papers. She sent them through a courier. No message, just papers. When I called her, she didn't answer. The next day, I received a text. "It's better if we don't drag this out. Please sign and send them back. I'll handle the rest." So I didn't sign. Not immediately. I took the papers to a lawyer instead, a kind older woman named Mrs. Grant, who looked at me like she'd seen this story play out 100 times. She asked if I wanted to contest anything. I didn't care about the furniture, the savings, or even the car. I just wanted my dignity. But Lydia wasn't interested in fighting either. She just wanted it done. At the hearing, she showed up wearing a gray business suit. She didn't look at me once. The judge asked if both parties agreed to the terms. She said, "Yes, Your Honor," without hesitation. When it was my turn, my voice cracked. Not from anger, just heartbreak. I said, "Yes, Your Honor," too. That was it. 6 years of marriage, gone in a 15-minute hearing. She walked out of the courtroom like she was late for a meeting. I sat there long after she left. I think part of me stayed in that chair, wondering how something that started with so much laughter could end with so much silence. 6 months after divorce. It's strange how quiet life becomes when the chaos leaves. At first, I didn't know what to do with it. The apartment felt too big, the bed too empty. I started spending more time at work. My students, kids aged 10 to 13, became my reason to wake up. They didn't care about my title or salary. They just loved learning to paint sunsets and clay animals. I also picked up jogging every morning before sunrise. It started as a way to distract myself, but soon it became therapy. There's something healing about watching the sky shift from dark to gold, a quiet reminder that every day begins again. One day after my run, I saw a stray dog rummaging through a trash can outside my building. Skinny, shaking, one ear flopped over. I don't know why, but I called him over. He wagged his tail and followed me upstairs like he already knew he was home. I named him Rusty. Rusty became my little shadow, following me everywhere, curling up beside me while I graded papers. He didn't care who left me or what I lost. He just loved being there. And through him, I learned how to breathe again. 1 year later, a year ago, I was broken. I couldn't look at my reflection without seeing a failure. Now, I'm not rich. I don't have a fancy car or a luxury apartment, but I'm whole. I moved into a small cottage near the edge of town. I turned one of the rooms into an art studio. My weekends are spent hiking, painting landscapes, and volunteering at a shelter that helps kids through art therapy. Lydia and I never spoke again. I heard from a mutual friend that her new relationship didn't last. She transferred to another branch out of state. I didn't feel satisfaction, just peace. Sometimes I still dream about her. Not the version who left, but the one who used to fall asleep on my chest while the rain hit the windows. But when I wake up, Rusty's there, tail wagging, ready for a walk, and I realize life didn't end when she left. It just began again, differently. If anyone's going through something like this, being left behind because you're not enough, please know this. You are enough. You don't need to chase someone who's already running from you. Sometimes the best thing a broken heart can do is force you to rebuild it stronger. My wife's promotion didn't ruin me. It revealed her. And losing her didn't destroy me. It saved me. It's been 1.5 years since the divorce. I wasn't planning on updating again. Honestly, I thought my story had ended when I found peace. But life has a strange way of testing how far you've really come. About a month ago, I got a message from an unknown number. "Hey Ben, it's me. Can we talk?" It was Lydia. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. My first instinct was to ignore it, not out of spite, but because I knew that reopening that door would lead nowhere good. But curiosity won. I responded, "About what?" She replied almost instantly, "Everything. I think I owe you that." We agreed to meet at a small cafe downtown, the same one we used to go to when we couldn't afford the fancy places she loves now. When I got there, she was already sitting at a table by the window. For a second, I didn't even recognize her. Her hair was shorter, her eyes looked tired, like the glow that once surrounded her had dimmed. She smiled when she saw me, but it wasn't the smile I remembered. It was strained, careful. We talked. At least, she did. She told me she'd left her job. Apparently, her new boyfriend, the coworker, had cheated on her with someone else at the firm. Things fell apart fast, and she eventually left the company altogether. "I thought I had everything," she said, staring at her untouched coffee. "And then I realized none of it mattered without someone who really cared about me." She reached across the table and said quietly, "I miss you, Ben. I miss us." I didn't pull away, but I didn't move closer either. There was a time when those words would have made my heart race. But sitting there, listening to her, I felt nothing, not anger, not longing, just a calm, almost sad understanding that we weren't the same people anymore. I asked her what she really wanted. She looked at me and said, "Maybe a second chance?" I made mistakes. I was selfish. I thought success would make me happy, but it just made me hollow. You were the only one who ever really believed in me. I took a breath and said, "I did believe in you. I still do. But that version of us, it's gone. You didn't just walk away from me, Lydia. You burned the bridge behind you." She blinked, and for a moment, I saw the guilt in her eyes. "I know," she said softly. "I just thought maybe you'd still care enough to try." That's when I smiled, not out of spite, but out of peace. "I do care. I just don't belong in your story anymore." Her eyes watered, and she whispered, "You've changed." I nodded. I had to. We sat in silence for a few minutes. Then she got up, said goodbye, and walked away. No hugs, no promises, no drama. Just two people quietly acknowledging what's already over. When she left, I didn't feel anger or victory, just relief. I realized that forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it just means letting go of the last bit of pain someone left behind. It's been 2 years since I last saw Lydia. I haven't heard from her again. A few weeks ago, I drove past that same cafe on my way home from work. For a moment, I thought about how different everything is now. The man who once begged for love is now just content. My cottage is still quiet. Rusty's older, slower now, but still greets me at the door like I'm his favorite person in the world. I've started selling my art on weekends. Small pieces, mostly landscapes. Nothing major, but they sell. People tell me my work feels peaceful. Funny, because peace is exactly what I'd been searching for. Sometimes, at night, I think about how my life used to revolve around trying to prove my worth. To my wife, to society, even to myself. Now, I don't have to prove anything. My worth doesn't depend on anyone's approval. That's the quiet victory of healing. Realizing you don't need closure from the person who hurt you. You just need it from yourself.